this? Alright. What's up, everyone? Besides my sore throat. We're live.
Oh, we're live? Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm still drinking.
Well,
Oh, we are live?
yeah.
Hello!
We're live.
Hello, everyone. I am...
Hey, Puff, go ahead and do the opening, buddy. It's you've earned
I,
it.
Alright. I am Mr. Self-Destructive for many reasons.
Many.
I am a host here. We also have today with us the capitalist rope vendor
Hi.
who is here to sell all of the communists your ropes to hang the capitalists on. And then we have Salty Pig, who, as his name suggests, is very salty. How you doing? And let's get
Well,
into the articles.
I've been amusing myself for the past 2 hours now in a Twitter conversation with some jackass who does not understand what the analogy of pigeon shitting all over a chessboard means. Continued to prove that he doesn't. Continued to prove that it was an apt analogy, and failed to understand that I don't give a shit about the conversation, and didn't have no respect for him or take him seriously. Maybe it's a her. I don't know. So I'm doing pretty good tonight.
In this day and age, you can never tell.
How about you speak louder? Stop mumbling.
I can't.
Oh, he can't. Alright, one thing I forgot to mention in my introduction. The capitalist rope vendor has actually been spending way too much time around communists and got their shit, which means that
So
he's
got
got a little bit of a sore throat. I will leave actually Salty Pig to come up with a good version of what exactly he has.
So in his attempts to convince the socialists to buy his ropes to hang the capitalists with, he let them massage his tonsils just a little bit too much, and now he's paying the price for not being able to speak too loud. He's got what he calls a cold, but we all know that it's not really a cold. It's actually a venereal disease. It's just in the wrong place.
I'm gonna hang you for this.
I mean, you have the rope to do it, so I wouldn't take that unseriously there, Salty Pig.
Yeah, I'm just doing as a salty pig does. Maybe I should say shady pig.
Well, okay. Well, here you should go with Shady Pig, because when I hear Salty Pig, I think like really good, well cooked salty pork.
Stop.
So-
You're making me hungry.
Yeah, I was already hungry from a lot of the conversations that I've been having today. People kept talking to me about sushi and shit. I'm like, I have $10 for the next 2 days to eat food. I should
I know how that
probably not go get sushi. I want sushi, but it's extremely expensive, especially here in the wonderful state that is Washington.
Just
As we've all continuously talked about, how just ridiculously not wonderful it is.
Just stick to the $1
Yeah.
plates and you'll be fine.
If anybody watches this, I would suggest going and following a guy by the name of Zion. He's funny. He's great.
Xylon, yeah, he's pretty cool.
I love that guy. So go follow him on Twitter. He's having a great time with some retard that doesn't understand English.
The reading comprehension is not strong with this one,
No,
nor is the idea of separate concepts and ideas.
well, like I'm reading the tweets that he posted. He says, some guy accuses him of something. He responds to that accusation. The guy then just ignores that entire response and just accuses him again. It's like copy and paste, just like the same thing that he said right before
It wasn't even really an accusation. He was asking a question with the obvious intent of to, what is the word I'm looking for? Hey, English major, what's the word I'm looking for?
What are you trying to describe?
he's implying.
Discredit.
He's implying. Discredit.
Another
right.
word for discredit.
Yeah,
He's also implying.
he likes to do that.
Okay. So also, if Xylon ever is tuning in or whatever he is doing right now, he's probably still just trying to be like, fuck this guy, fuck him, he's stupid idiot.
Yeah, this whole thing is it's clear that he takes this whole thing seriously, and while I make light of person who is being a jackass, the situation's kind of sucks. Anyways, in other news, I actually just picked up a new mod as well. And
and it's not the drag, and I'm gonna
No, it's
fucking berate you for it.
Well, you can't really. You can try to berate me for it all you want. I don't care. This is the one that I want. I've wanted it for a while now.
Does it
Does
take
exactly
3
what I need
batteries
to
or
do.
2?
3.
3. Yeah, that is.
It goes up to 300 watts too,
All right, but
and
it's,
it does
it's
and it does temperature control.
all right.
Yeah,
All right,
tough
your
counter.
battery charger is it 6? Is it 8? Is it 4?
It's 4.
It's 4. So you're telling me that you're using a mod that uses 3 batteries, but it only charges 4 at a time. How many batteries do you have?
I only have 3 at the moment. 3 that are actually bought all together.
Okay, so
Because I've
So
been
when you
using
run out
I've been using mods that only. All right, I started out with a mod that didn't have removable batteries. Then I moved to a mod that took 1 battery. Then I moved up to a mod that took 2 batteries. Then I moved to another mod that took 2 batteries. And now I'm on a mod that takes 3 batteries. So I will end up having to get more batteries when I can afford to get more batteries. But here's the thing, I only need to charge 3 batteries at a time. So
yeah, but if you use a mod that uses 2 batteries at a time, you get 4 batteries, you can have 2 charging, and then when you run out of batteries, when you run out of juice on the 2 batteries, you just switch them out. That's what I do. It's so much
yeah,
better.
and that's exactly what I was doing beforehand. And now I've upgraded to a 3 battery mod. So, yeah. Excuse me.
The
Things will
drag
follow.
is so much better.
You know, the way you two talk about vapes, we could get sponsored by Ethan Klein so easily.
Ethan Klein?
Yeah,
H3,
H3
H3.
Productions.
What's this sponsorship?
I'm making a joke.
Yes.
Well, it's over my head, so it's probably a really
He did
great
the
joke.
whole Vape Nation meme. I'd have to pull up the vids. I'm not gonna do that now.
Oh, hey, Xylonex is in the audience.
Oh, look at that. Whose idea was that?
But so as we consistently have had this banter, even a small amount on Twitter, I will still berate you for
Not getting the mod
getting
that
the
you
drag.
want?
Not getting the drag. The drag is so much better. The chip
Dude,
is
you can have your drag all you want. All right? This is the one I wanted. This is the one I got. It's even purple.
okay.
It's
Why would
purple.
you? Do you like? You really like purple?
Yeah, actually I do. I like purple.
Okay.
I like
Alright,
green.
alright.
I like
Okay.
red sometimes.
What's your favorite color? What's your favorite?
My favorite color is forest green.
Forest green. Okay.
Yeah, forest green. Olive drab or forest green. They're practically the same color.
Okay. All right. So your here's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen a drag?
Have you seen the features that comes with the one that I have.
Walk me. Well, okay. So walk me through it one day when we're not on stream because we
Yeah,
might lose
dude,
some people.
I'll be clear. I don't care what my mod looks like. I care about how it feels in my hand and how it drags.
Yes, and the drag is fantastic for that. But
Okay. Waiting for
well,
the end of that butt.
But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. We are right now in a live stream, and we are talking about stupid shit that people say online, and
We love to do
people
that.
want to say.
That's our
And
pastime.
one of those things that people say online is that abortion is such a light topic that it can be saluted and it can be taken so wonderfully as to
Dude,
say
that is an
something.
awesome segue. I love your segue. Let's get into it.
All right, so the Vox article that I have actually presented, wasn't actually expecting this be the segue. I was wanting to go with something more along the lines of you guys. But here's the thing. So I am 100% a centrist in a lot of ways. Also, I will premise this entire stream with saying that I have had a shit ton of rum tonight, so you might be seeing a little bit weird side of me.
Oh, so you want to read the article then? Is that what you're
No,
saying?
not at all.
All right,
But
do you want me to read the article?
yes, I want you.
All right, now what's the end? What's at the end of that butt you were just making?
There was
You
something.
said
Well, a
butt.
penis. Well, the other end of the butt is a penis. So, I mean, if you're doing it right, the other end of a butt is a penis. But
I mean, I didn't realize you liked penises attached to your butts.
That
hey,
what?
you know what? I like to experiment.
You know
I
what?
like to have
I'm
fun.
I'm learning some things about you that I wasn't sure I wanted to learn.
You asked.
So let me
You
go
asked.
ahead. Let me go ahead and get into this article then. So there's a video in there, and I'm not even gonna bother. I'm not even gonna bother, clicking on it because it's cancer.
Listen to
Right.
The recent announcement
and I
of
hate-
the Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy's upcoming retirement came as a shock, not only because it was so sudden, because his departure at the end of July. How is this? Well, okay, I can understand it's sudden, but he's fucking. How old is he?
I think he's 82.
Like,
He's-
200?
He's like really. It's really old. Let's not get into the topic of how long we should allow people to be in office.
No, I'm fine with the Supreme Court justice being for life, a lifetime appointment. But come on, I mean that the old
Why?
man needs to die.
Why? Okay, hold on. Let me challenge you on that.
Okay,
Why are you fine with that?
because I am.
Well, okay.
Not a
No,
topic.
I mean like.
When I say I'm fine with something, it usually means that it's not really a topic that I've thought a whole lot about, and
Okay.
and I don't really care to. It's like
Okay.
right now I'm more interested in imposing term limits on Congress and House of Representatives than I am on Supreme Court justices. Because at the end of the day, if things are really, really, really shit, a Supreme Court justice can be recalled. It just takes a lot to do it. Anyways, where was I? It was so sudden, but because his departure at the end of July could signal a significant shift in the future of reproductive rights. Okay. That made it a natural topic for Michelle Wolf to take on in her Netflix series The Break with Michelle Wolf, who I don't think I've ever even watched one of these shows. I don't think it's ever even. I don't think it's even ever popped up in my feed.
Apparently, it's on Netflix.
Well,
The Break
no shit. It
Michelle
kind of
Wolf.
implied that it was.
Also, that's why no
what
one watches it.
from what from what Buck says that this is the girl, this is the woman. I will be respectful. This is the woman that held the
That's what it was. White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Yeah, no. She held the
She was
White
the
House
entertainment
Correspondents'
there.
Dinner. She hosted and all that kind of stuff. And
Are you sure this is
Oh,
a
yeah.
woman?
Oh.
yes,
Because
100% this is a woman. Here's
aside from her teeth,
here's
she looks like she got hit by a dump truck 3 times.
uh, well, I would actually
Yes, I'm kind of an
say
asshole.
her voice. Yes, but we're all assholes. Because I would respond with, "What the fuck is wrong with her mouth?"
Uh, it looks like she had plastic surgery to fix her teeth after the dump truck hit her.
And the surgeon missed.
And the surgeon missed.
All right, where was I? The break with Michelle Wolf. In this Sunday's episode, Wolf made her stance on the issue clear, getting into the hypocrisy inherent in pro-life legislation and arguing for easy legal access to abortion with a star-spangled salute to abortion.
Yeah, but okay,
So
all right. So
she has no self-respect. Got it.
no. Well, okay. So let me put it this way. This is something that I've been talking with my roommate about. Me and him have been like since I moved into my new place, I've been having a lot more conversations in reality with people about things that are that come from a different perspective than the online, like just fully inside this political discussion. Like a lot of people, what I feel is online is just they download all, and when I say download, I mean into the brain. They download all of just the content, the things that people say. They download like all different kinds of things. But there is a huge, like the majority of America and the population of just the world in general doesn't actually watch all this kind of shit. So hearing a perspective of someone who isn't a part of that is interesting. And one of the things that I had conversation with him was just like along the lines of just like understanding, just well, I oh shit.
Are you
I might
trying to
have been
figure out your
drinking too
position?
much. No, I might have been drinking too much. Let me roll back.
There's not.
Just say
Okay. So,
here's the thing. Okay.
if you have to
So
go pee.
no, not at all. I just might have drinking too much to keep consistently keep through my statements, like follow through on what I was saying, and then roll back.
You're
to
fun when you're
You
drunk.
already lost that.
I'm glad because I get
So
drunk
let me
rarely
ask
often.
you a question while you're so easily distracted. What exactly is your position on abortion?
Okay, my position on abortion is very centrist. Okay,
You need to
it's
describe that.
along the yeah, no, I'm going there. I'm leading to it. Okay, so I believe that abortion is necessary in certain things. I have a huge issue with people who have kids that are not A, ready for kids, B, can like do the thing that is best for kids, can all those kinds of things. So in a lot of ways, not a lot of ways, but just in some ways, abortion is necessary to make sure that the child itself is not raised in a terrible house in a terrible environment. But also at the
Okay.
same time, you also have to think about the person who is having the child. Like let's say, you're young, right? And you're not ready to support the child. You're going through college, you can't, these kind of things would affect your life in significant ways. Having an abortion allows you to not have to ruin your life. And so
And
in those specific
so
circumstances,
so
having
I'm
it
gonna pause you
early.
right there.
Okay.
I know I'm interrupting you, but I kind of take issue with the way you phrase that, the
Okay.
ruining
All
your
right. Walk me
life.
through why. Walk me through why.
So I know that I'm probably going to be biased in
Oh,
this opinion.
right,
I
and
have
everybody
I
is.
have a I have I have a child,
Okay.
right? And I would never consider me having a child, whether I have access to her or the ability to father her the way I would like to, as ruining my life. And to be quite frank, if anyone were to consider uh, a child having said child, whether it was an act of a mistake or an act of uh, inebriation, a mistake was made, however you want to phrase it, as ruining their life, I don't think they deserve children. And I think that would be it would be behoove them to remove their ability to reproduce permanently.
Okay. All right. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. When you take abortion into context, right, you have two lives. Okay.
Hmm.
And you have the life that consists of the child and the life that consists of the person who's growing. Now, one thing that would never, ever agree with is along the lines of um, late term abortions, right? Anything after the
Anything
first
after a
term.
heartbeat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So once you have seen the child like growing to like you could see the head, the feet, the body, you could discern those kinds of things. At that point, if you can see that, the belly is starting to show. If you can't handle, if you can't if you can't support the child, if you can't do all those kinds of things, don't abort. That would be my suggestion. Don't abort. Have the child and put the child up for adoption.
Thank
If
you.
you, yeah.
That's actually
Um.
very mimicking of me.
Right.
So I think I understand your position now. Um, so
If it's before that, right? If it's before that, that's where I say like if it's way before that, like it's just a little mush thing. Then it's a the belly hasn't started to show the it's not going to I'm sorry, my friend
so it
responded to me
basically anything before a heartbeat. Let's just stick to that. Um, I so I'll go ahead and explain my position. Um, while I'm not pro-abortion in a sense, I
Mhm.
think that it is sometimes a necessary evil. You know,
and
um,
and
I
there's a
believe
shit ton of things like
I
that,
I
right?
believe yeah, I believe there are plenty of reasons that would justify an abortion. However, I think that the abortion should always be kept as a last resort and not the get out of jail
Right,
free card
right,
that so
right.
many people wield
It's
it
not the
as.
first. It's not your first choice.
There are so many so many different ways that you can avoid abortion. That you can
Right.
avoid
You
pregnancy to make
can.
abortion not necessary,
Right. There's
you
taking the
know?
pill.
And
There's using a condom. There's just
there's
allowing
also
the
just
baby to exist and then
there's
giving it up
also
for
just
adoption.
there's also just abstinence, you know? I mean, I know it's kind of lame to say, but the only way to ensure that you're not going to have a kid is from abstaining completely.
And
And
you end
even
up
then, it's not even a 100%. I mean,
and then you
God,
end
the
up like
horror
me.
stories that I've heard from men's rights activists that have gone through this kind of thing. And I'm also a strong advocate of adoption over abortion. You know, I mean, it's like I so I know a woman. Well, I used to know a woman who was at one point in time was very, very dear to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And after she and I were no longer in contact with each other, uh, she became pregnant
Hmm.
and she carried the child to term
Okay.
and she gave the child up for adoption. And it was the right decision to make at the time, according to her, because she's the only one who can judge that kind of thing.
Right. Of course. Right.
And she's she was grateful that she went through that. The last time I spoke to her, I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. The last time I spoke to her, uh, we ended up talking about it, and she was incredibly grateful that she could do that, and that she didn't just go with the first thing that some of her friends said is the abortion thing. And yeah, but that's
Right.
my
And
that it's what it comes down to is I think at the moment abortions are just they're too easy to get. You
well,
know,
okay. So I would say they're too
it's used straight up.
polarized.
It's used straight up as a get out of jail free card, and
Um. Okay.
it's really frustrating because you know while I'm while I don't necessarily believe in God, I do believe in the soul.
Hmm.
As odd as that
Interesting.
might sound, the human
Well, it's not
spirit, the
odd. It
soul,
just makes
whatever.
sense.
Um, and I believe that at the moment that a heart starts to beat, that's a person, and maybe that person is depending on you to in order to live, and maybe that person is living with inside your body, but that person still has a right to exist,
Hmm.
you know?
Okay.
This is
So.
literally the first time I've actually put these thoughts into words, so bite me.
Mhm. Yeah.
Fight me,
So
boy.
so I tend to take in a lot of information of what like and logic and the things that people say, and then I apply them to my own beliefs and my own logic and all that stuff. And if they fit, they fit. If they don't, I combat them. Right?
Well,
That's
yeah, I
that's
mean,
how I deal with things.
and to go back with it, I'm also a really strong advocate of personal responsibility. It's like you made a mistake, got it, own up to
100,
it.
just yes, yes. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. A life for a life is not always the choice that you have to make. Your life for theirs is not always something that needs to be done. If
Well,
okay, so let's say someone has sex while drunk and they decide not to have not to put on a condom and all that kind of stuff and all that kind of
if
stuff. That's a mistake.
inebriation,
Well,
if
that's
inebriation does not excuse you from murder, should not excuse you from anything else.
okay.
If it does not excuse you from drunk driving, if it does not excuse you from
Okay.
this, that, and the other thing, it should not excuse you from that.
All right, all right. And I think I'll see your point. I'll disagree as far as just like how life goes,
That's
and
fair.
then I'm not allowed. Let me rephrase that. I'll just here's the thing, okay? What my issue is, and I'm kind of changing the conversation a little bit, and I apologize for that because this is something that frustrates me. This is the reason why I consider myself centrist. You have two sides of the argument, right? And
Oh yeah,
both
no, I
are
understand. I
both
understand
are
the two side there. I
right, but
understand the idea behind centrism. I'm a centrist myself. This is just my
right.
personal opinion.
Oh, 100.
While I believe that abortion shouldn't be illegal and it should be accessible for those extreme situations, I also believe that it's too easy. You know, it's
Mm,
used it should be used as a scalpel rather than a massive hammer. And for the past
right.
10 years or so, it's been used as a fucking hammer. Here, there,
Right.
everywhere.
Yeah,
And I
and
disagree with
there's
that.
a lot there's a lot of people who think that like late term abortions
Yeah,
are something that
it's
makes it. And then well, so bringing this back to the article, right? Or is and more bringing this back to what she says because this article is structured.
yeah, see, I haven't
Uh,
actually gotten back to what she says. I haven't
she
actually gotten to what she says.
yeah, right. No, I understand. But
So
what
should
she
I go ahead
says,
should I go ahead and get back to
to
reading the
be
article?
to be honest, the article doesn't exactly say what she said because it is Vox. We're reading a
Yeah, true.
Vox article, and Vox is very polarized.
Well, it's not
Uh,
very long. If I can just go ahead and read the last four very short paragraph
hold
sentences.
on. Let me
Jesus Christ, they are
respond to
paragraph
this.
sentences.
Let
It's
me
Vox.
read
What do you
something.
fucking
Zion,
expect?
All right,
Zion's centrist.
starting with the
Hold on. Zion says centrist cakewalk. Now that's about that's about the cake.
Let's avoid the
now
cake.
let's abort the cake.
No, it's funny because like I was responding. I was talking to my roommate about this, and I said, "Sorry for the pun, but the reason why I decided to take the bottle with me is because of this abortion of a video." And he laughed. So hey, I'm not completely insane. I'm not completely ridiculously intolerable.
I'm going to
Um,
hell for that one.
but here's the thing. When it comes to what she said, like she goes through this whole thing. She conflates anti-abortion with anti-woman, which is just so retarded. And she tries to
Well,
back
yeah, I
that up.
mean,
Right. She tries to
it's
back
literally right
that up.
there.
But she tries to back that up with saying, "Oh, people who are pro-life are against healthcare, are against childcare, are against education, are for gun control, and are against the environment." Those are that's how she presents this, right? She says things like, "Oh, I'm just going to generalize anyone who's anti-abortion," and that's what pisses me off, right? It's this generalization from both sides. Both sides are saying anyone who's pro-abortion is for killing people, is for, uh, just murdering babies. And then on the side that says abortion is okay, I don't know what to call them. What would they be called?
Pro-abortion.
Pro-abortion.
It's
Okay,
it's
sure, why
the
not?
two sides are literally pro-abortion and pro-life.
Right. So pro-abortion also,
If you're going with like,
comes back with a lot of, and they also generalize people. You get both sides, and it even within each side, there's also like differences. Like I've seen a very leftist article that says that talks about abortion within the beginning term. Like you just kind of like how
well,
realizing
isn't there a Norse god that they say that abortion actually took its name from, or
walk me.
contraceptive or something like that?
I have never heard this
So I
before.
saw an article not too long ago that was not even really an article. It was one of those info images. It's like it's almost like a meme, except it's actually trying to impart facts on you. And I don't know, I don't know if it's actually true or not, but I saw something and it was saying something about some Greek or Roman or Norse or Celtic god that was saying that the idea of abortion actually came from their name or something like that.
Hmm.
I don't know, it was weird. I didn't think of anything of it at the time. I was just like, Okay, well that's a thing. And then I moved on. And
Hmm.
now that we're having this conversation, I kind of wish that I had actually gone through and researched it to make sure if it was to make sure it was bullshit or not.
I mean, you can cite memes all day, but if you keep that up, Infowars will try to offer you a job.
You know what? As long as they're paying, I will take it.
Right.
I'm not even
Well, okay.
kidding. I
All right,
I
hold on,
I can
hold on. So you'll
totally
become
totally
Candace
separate.
Owens.
I can totally separate my job from my own opinions. You're pay.
Really
Yeah,
interesting.
absolutely.
Interesting. See, I've had this conversation because I know a lot of feminists.
Of course,
Of
you
course,
can never
of
not pay
course,
me to never not pay me to be an asshole. So
right. But I know a lot of feminists. Of course, this is simply because of the conversation we had before we started the live stream about the fact that me and Buck live in fucking Washington and West Washington, not even East. But
The
for
wet part.
me, unfortunately, not in the good kind of wet. But
Not the fun
you wouldn't
kind.
know the good kind of wet if it slapped you in the face.
okay.
Even though she's
But
sitting on it, get it, slap in the face, sit on the
oh no,
face.
no, you didn't explain the joke, Pig.
I did explain the joke. I like
but
to
as far
ruin my
as
own jokes.
but
But yeah,
so
I really am. I make jokes, but I can separate what I have to do to support my family in the best way that I can from the rest of my life. It's like I'll never use whatever job that I get to verify myself on Twitter, right? I'll never,
mm,
you know, advertise who I work for because it's just a job, you know?
see,
I mean, there's you have your
and
career.
that's
You have your
right.
career, which is what you do, and then you have your job, which is who you do it for.
Right,
Right.
and so that
And let's
comes
be
down
real,
to a lot of.
InfoWars will never hire me. I'd
Um,
call I'd make fun of Alex Jones way too much for them to even hire
I
me.
yeah
I would
yeah
walk into the room and I'd be like,
see
"Hey, Alex, how's that anti-vax going for you?"
yeah I'm guessing you saw fucking Jeff's newest video.
Yeah, I
Oh
would
my
never
god,
I would
that was
never
so
ever let it
retarded.
up. I would freaking text memes to him while he's on air just to see if he'll break, just to see if he'll crack, get like pissed
Oh,
off and fire me like on air.
we shouldn't vaccinate kids because that's oppressive. That not even taking into consideration of
Anyways,
what
I have to
vaccinating
step
everyone
away. I
does.
will be right back.
Oh,
All right, gotcha.
well, I guess this is my show then.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right,
yeah, go ahead. You've
all
you've been
right.
you've been dominating the entire time, so
I'm sorry.
dominate me, baby. I'll be right back.
All right. So here's the thing. As far as what I wanted to comment on when it comes to this person, Michelle Wolf. You see, when it comes to her, I don't find her funny at all. I watched the entire video, and this is something that we're not playing. So
Yeah. No, after
if
her
Buck
jokes at the
wants to play,
correspondence dinner. No.
yeah,
Her
it was
quote
retarded.
unquote
She's
jokes.
she's not funny. She's really not. And I can find you like fucking hell. I watch what's his name? John Oliver. Extreme leftist. I don't agree with him in so many ways, but I can laugh at his jokes. She is not funny. She is not funny at all, which is so unfortunate. It's just like I wish there were people like she's sitting there to get an understanding of this video. She makes an entire video like comparing she makes comments again. She makes the comments that there is no people who are pro-life. Anyone who is pro-life is lying. They are, in fact, just anti-abortion, which there is a lot of conversation there. And she equates that to being anti-woman, which is a conflation.
The
Huge
fucking huge
conflation.
one, yeah.
Huge conflation.
Where'd the Dorky Pig show come from?
That was Xylon's idea.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm just not gonna say anything. But so as far as what she says, she makes a lot of conflation. She says one of the things she actually asserts is that the only reason why men specifically are anti-abortion is because they want to control women, and if women have the ability to have an abortion, that they can't control that, therefore they can't control women. And it's too scary for a man to think that women have the ability to control things, which is not the case at all. I mean, yes, there is a significant amount of people who sit way far on the right. They're exactly like this Michelle Wolf. Like I as is probably uncommon as it is. I think.
Well, I think this is actually a perfect time to bring up the next article.
I will agree. Been on this a little bit too much.
I believe that should be in a related concept with what you just said something about. Should be, where is it? Where the fuck is it?
Is it this one?
It's the MSN article.
MSN, that's over here.
Comment, a curfew for men.
Yeah.
All right, Pov, you have to read this one because nobody can hear Buck.
Whoa, shit. Okay. Well.
Yeah, you didn't think that one through, did you?
Well, welcome everyone to the Mr. Self-Destructive Show, where he self-destructs the fact that he cannot read. I am going to show you how, or more. I am going to show you the reason why I make Buck and Pig read this, because you will all be very disappointed.
He doesn't actually make us. We just don't normally let him read because he's so horrible at it.
It is.
But today I have to make an exception.
It is. But it's a behind the scenes thing that makes sure that
if you really don't want to read it, I'll read all the articles tonight.
All right. So this person, I cannot read his name.
Melinda Houston.
But no, later. So I'm reading from the first thing. In Geralta's Lamadat's
Jesus Christ.
Holy shit, you're fired. You're fired.
All
right, Harold Lamont's recent letter in these pages. No men allowed after dark, ? What a totally awesome idea. No, I disagree. I have, quite genuinely, been racking my brain as to what we can realistically do to ensure women's safety after dark.
Give them all a gun.
I'm starting to suspect that you don't have enough brain cells to rub together to spark a thought.
Hold on. Let's roll this back just slightly, because as I've mentioned multiple times, I am a centrist. This means that I kind of see where a few of the more rational feminists kind of come from.
I don't.
And this is the first time I'm saying this, but here, let me put this out there. Okay. So here's the thing. Both men and women are extremely unsafe when it comes to after dark. I have been in multiple situations.
So are you advocating a curfew for all?
No, not at all. But
just
men. Don't be a Kathy Newman. Is that her name? Kathy Newman? Don't.
Well, you just said that you agree with this article. How am I being a Kathy Newman?
I didn't
you said
say
you agree with this article.
Hold on. No, my exact words were rational feminists. All right,
There's no
salty
such
pig.
thing.
There are. Okay,
I
there
disagree.
You're
are.
just old enough to be your
And
mother.
we'll just agree to disagree, and I'll move on. But here's the thing, right? There is a shit ton of problems when it comes to people who are not. And I'm gonna say people who are not very safe after, knives and all that stuff. And when it comes to figuring out how to deal with that shit, what seems to me the problem is where they're not focusing their attention on how to fix it. Because, in my opinion, right? Yes, shit ton of people who go off and do terrible things after dark. There is a shit ton of people who go off and make things hard for people to exist and make life difficult. But where the focus should not be is placing it solely on men, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, and and one of the things is, I do not agree with this article. It for the very fact this is putting this all on men. There are a shit ton of women who do some shit terrible things.
All
Um,
right. So here's where I'll go ahead and put my 2 cents in then. I think this article is a dumpster fire. As in freaking the Human Torch took a shit in a dumpster fire.
I'll be right back.
It's like this whole thing was going over is like first I can't think of a reason a way to keep people women safe from men except for giving men a curfew. Okay. So you want men to be second class citizens. All right. How do we shift responsibility for women's safety from the victims? I'm sorry. I'm going to be quite frank when I say this, but uh, you, a person, are the one and only person who is ultimately responsible for your own safety. Shit's going to happen to you. And sometimes there's not much you can do about it. It's not everyone else's fault. You know, I mean, it sucks. I mean, I would never blame the victim for having a crime committed to them, but taking responsibility for your own safety is not, it's a no-brainer. You do things to keep yourself safe. That's freaking survival 101. You know, if you're scared to go into a freaking dark alley alone, don't go into said dark alley alone because it's generally a good idea not to go into that dark alley alone. Like men freaking get killed all the damn time walking around at night. In fact, I've seen statistics. I just got distracted by the chat. What was I saying?
You've seen statistics.
Swiggity swooty, I'm coming for that booty. All right. Well, I guess it's a good thing I carry. I'm always armed. um, but no, I mean it's like you are first and foremost responsible for your own safety. It's like you're not always going to be 100% safe, but you can take steps to make and maintain your safety at least to some extent. Sometimes those steps aren't going to work out and bad things are going to happen. And in those instances, guess what? We have laws for a reason. You know, people attacking other people is against the freaking law.
Right.
You know, it's frustrating when I see this because I'm just a huge advocate for personal responsibility. I'm not going to blame, well, I would blame the perpetrator. It is the perpetrator's fault that this is happening. They're the ones who decided to do it. But it's like I'm not going to blame the police because I decided to walk down a freaking dark alley when I knew it was probably a bad idea. I'm not going to blame women because something bad happened to me and I didn't do the smart things that would have prevented it from happening to me. You know? It's like I'll be quite frank, I emotionally I am by definition misogynistic. I have a deep-rooted fear of women. Not necessarily physically, but I always suspect them of ulterior motives, and I blame my ex-wife for this, but it's my first reaction, and I work so hard to get past it so often. I think we've brought this up on the show a couple of times, but
Yep.
So we need.
It's
go
not
into
Yeah,
too much
no,
all
detail.
women's.
and I should be there with you. But
Yeah,
here's the thing.
it's not all women's fault that my ex-wife did what she did.
Right. But
No.
here's the thing. It's also not always men's. It's not all men's fault that
Uh-huh.
there are some assholes
Right.
that
You're
just
not
come
taking
in
away
and
from what I was saying there, buddy.
No, I'm not. I'm adding to it.
You're reinforcing it.
Okay, hold on. No, I shouldn't say but and it's not always
Thank
men's. Sorry.
Use those conjunctions right, my dude.
Thank you, Buck. I always
No,
come to
even
you
though
for
we're the
good
only ones who
English
actually heard
advice.
you.
But here's the thing. When it comes to this kind of shit, like this is so like what is this misandrous? Misandrous. This is so misandrous, and that's what puts me at such of an issue. You see, there are 100% terrible men. There are 100% terrible women. Terrible men use the fact that men are much more strong and all that kind of stuff. Terrible women use the fact that they are much more manipulative and seductive. Both of them rely on their some cultural things, some all that kind of stuff, and it creates this constant just in and out of problems between the two, and you end up with this like the cultural thing of men is that they're strong and they could do anything they want to do, and then the cultural thing of women is that they're always nice and they're always going to be helpful, and they subvert these two things against you in many ways. And so you end up with this idea that men should have a curfew. Well, okay, women shouldn't lie. Like if this is like just like you're like, all right, you want to control men's problems, men's like certain. If you want to stop men from doing things that are culturally suggestive of them being stronger and all that kind of stuff, then you should also control the cultural thing around women. The opposite side of that. They can't be, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna fucking, make myself extremely
Hey, I
retarded
finally
in
figured out that
this.
function on my vape.
Oh, nice.
Oh, so
But
it was doing something that was actually killing it for me, right? So after every 3 drags, it would ask me if if the coil that's in there right now is the same coil that was in there like 5 minutes ago. And I'm like, why is it doing this? It's getting really fucking annoying. It's actually making it so that I want to actually go and get the fucking drag that freaking Pav has been bugging me about for the past 2 days.
Does your vape have a fucking touchscreen on it? What the hell?
No, actually, my old vape did, but I figured out
They're
how
terrible.
to I figured out how to lock the ohms on the coil so that it'll stop checking to see if it's a new coil. And actually, the touchscreen wasn't too bad. It was a Smock G-Priv, and as long as I locked the touch screen,
Smock.
it was fine.
Oh,
Hey, Smock's got some pretty decent products, all right? I
Smock
won't
is
get a mod.
mainstream. Fuck that shit.
Dude, Smock was not mainstream when I got it.
I didn't think it was possible to be a vape hipster. But
Anyways,
look at where I live.
I figured out how to lock it, and I'm really happy with that now.
But but so like as far as things go, it's like this is the reason the centrist is because I had this conversation with with a feminist a few days ago, or maybe even a week ago, and she said to me, she's like, I've been through too much shit to be anything but a feminist. And I responded with, I've been through too much shit to be anything but a centrist. I've seen both men be absolutely terrible, fucking awful. I've had knives pulled on me. I've been attacked on the street. I've been, I've been shouted down in all these different kinds of things. But also at the same time, I've known women who are extremely abusive and just just all these like terrible to me and all these kinds of as each of those things happen, I sit closer and closer to the center as far as gender politics go. And for me, when I read this kind of shit, all I see is a person who just ignores the problems of one side and focuses on the issues of the other.
You know,
And
my wife actually brought something up earlier that is actually correlates. Not correlate is the wrong word.
Coincide.
Excuse me, but it's actually quite in line with what you're saying right now. It's like she's been following this men's rights activist page on Facebook, right?
right,
And she started talking about how they were incredibly hypocritical. Point in case, the specific situation was a woman posted on the page saying that she was not comfortable, or she did not want her husband or ex-husband's girlfriend. Apparently they were like legally separated. They weren't quite divorced yet, but was not comfortable with his girlfriend being around her kids, right? And she was getting shat on for it. However, in earlier instances, yeah, well, hang on. Earlier instances, when guys did the same thing on that page saying, I don't think that her boyfriend, I don't want her boyfriend, whatever, being around my kids, blah, blah, blah. They were championing that. They were getting behind it. And it's just like the inherent hypocrisy of people. You can't escape from it. So like
right, and
everybody's a hypocrite to some extent. I hate
oh
it.
yeah,
And I hate it, hate it, hate it. I hate it when I'm doing it. I
right.
get more angry at myself when I catch myself being a hypocrite than anything else. Right? But you're always going to have hypocrites. When you have humans, you're always going to have hypocrites. What's good for me is not for thee, type thing. What's good
Right.
for the goose is not good for the gander. Blah blah blah.
I
No, it's
just
just
spilled so much beer. But keep going.
good job.
Good job.
No, it's like everywhere.
Speaking of which, what's everybody drinking tonight? We never actually won.
Oh shit. Okay, go ahead, Buck.
I'm drinking orange juice and water, because fuck my throat, but not, please don't do that, actually.
Yeah, you learned the hard way not to do that.
Damn commies.
Well, up until the start of the stream, I was actually drinking Yingling Black and Tan. Oh my god, it's so good.
Is that like
So good.
is that like a dark?
Unfortunately, I ran out of it because I wasn't thinking about us having a stream tonight.
Oh.
Um, and I was already on my last one when we brought up the fact that we were doing the stream tonight. I was like, oh, that's right, we didn't do it last week, so we're doing it tonight. So right now, I'm actually drinking a gigantic can of Budweiser, which I ate, um, because my little brother is sworn off the hooch again.
Yeah.
So I'm drinking it instead of him.
Well,
What are you drinking, Mr. I'm too drunk to coherently form a thought?
I'm not drinking anything. I'm cleaning up the fuck. Yes.
What were you drinking earlier, Mr.
Well, okay,
I'm too
so-
coherent to form a thought?
I drank an entire, like, actually more than a half a bottle. Now that I look at it.
That's a nicely timed nickname.
um. Great.
And now he has the hiccups.
Yep.
I'm
But
not drunk,
Bacardi
officer. I'm
Superior.
cleaning up the beer in my car.
Damn it!
But
So I just tried to
drank
change.
more than-
I just tried to change your nickname to Mr. I'm too incoherent to form a thought, and it said must be 32 or fewer characters in length.
Shit. But I drank more than a half a bottle of Bacardi Superior. And then
Bacardi.
I started drinking lagers from
Lager's not bad.
Kirkland. Kirkland
Kirkland
lagers.
Light.
No, just Kirkland.
Okay.
It's just what
I'm
was
waiting
in
for
the
the
house.
name to change.
Okay.
I'm watching the stream and waiting for the name
Mr.
to change.
Hiccup. Hello. I have the hiccups.
You sound,
Fucking suck.
All right, well, so let's go ahead and move on to the next topic
yeah.
Yes.
while we're at it.
All right.
So,
well,
which
okay.
was next, Bob?
Trump administration will miss deadline on reuniting migrant kids under 5 with parents.
I'm trying to figure out why you're laughing. So
What do you think he is?
he's drunk.
Well,
No,
that's
I'm
half-
hiccuping.
He's got the
that's half of
hiccups.
it. Yeah,
I
there's
got
the
the
other half.
hiccups.
All right. So this is National Public National fuck. I can't
NPR.
speak. NPR, National Public Radio Incorporated. In the law section, it's done by Colin Dwyer. So to start kick it off, of the nearly 3,000 migrant. No. Well,
No.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but you should probably throw illegal in there. Illegal migrant minors who were separated from their parents and placed in federal custody to determine that their parents were actually their parents. The Trump administration says that at least 102 are under 5 years old. All right. And for several weeks, administration officials have been under a court-ordered deadline. Reunite those young children with their parents and do it quickly. Okay, as soon as we freaking figure out who their parents are, we'll do
Yeah.
that. Now, one day before a Tuesday deadline, the administration says authorities expect to return just over half of the kids because DNA tests take time. But that it would need more time to figure out the rest. Yes, because DNA tests take time. On Monday, Justice Department Attorney Sarah Fabian told a federal court in San Diego that at least 54 children and as many as 59 will be reunited with their families in the custody of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Good. In recent days, at least 2 children under 5 years old have been returned to their families. Okay.
So here's
Kind of
here's
lukewarm
my
good,
thing.
but okay.
Can I just interrupt here? 'Cause
Yes, go ahead.
Here's my thing, and this is weird. This article is strange to me. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Because I read this article before I posted it, before I decided I wanted to go with it. So the argument that's presented by the protesters is boiled down to families belong together. Now, from what most of the conversation that I'm hearing from the anti-SJW community is that if you create a criminal act, do you want the kid to pay for that as well? But it seems this article is taking in the taking it from a perspective of people, who have already been released from being in prison, people who've already been released of all that kind of stuff, going back to their daily lives or allowed in the country and all that, are being separated from their kids, and that's how it's presenting. Rather than when they get caught from trying to cross the border illegally, the kids and the adults are put into separate places. And from
Well,
what
yeah, I
from
mean,
what my
no,
understanding from what my understanding is that um they put the parents who actually committed the crime of trying to enter the US illegally, um they put them in a separate place than the kids. Kids get off and they go to like go through a processing for a lot of reasons, and then they're put in places that have camp and stuff. And the adults are sent to prison or deported. Now, after that happens, I don't see why the parents, or I haven't heard if anyone on the side of the zero tolerance policy why they wouldn't send the kids back to their parents if deported. But if they're sent to prison for their actions, why would we keep the kids in prison? And it seems to take this weird stance on this that is a
so
lot less. Go ahead.
here's the thing. All right, so this policy of separating the kids from their parents was actually put into law in the 90s, and
think so.
the whole intent behind the law, or it's not really a law, is it? It's a policy, is to ensure that the parents are actually bringing their kids into the country.
Right.
It's to combat
Child
child
trafficking.
sex trafficking. It's literally child sex trafficking that this is trying to combat, because they've caught on a number of occasions, I can't recall them off the top of my head, someone trying to come into the border, come into the country illegally with children that weren't theirs,
Right.
right? They confirmed it, and everything.
This article seems to kind of dismiss that as not being
Yeah,
an
it's
issue.
dismissing the issue, and they've been reuniting the parents with their kids as far as, well, maybe I'm wrong. Actually, I'm not even going to say that. But the whole concept is they're trying to make sure that those kids are actually their kids before they put them together.
Mhm.
Because I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want the government to put my kid with someone who wasn't their parent just because they said that they were my kid's parent.
Right.
And in the case that the parent goes to jail, I'm not sure. There's no easy answer to that. Like, what do you do with the kid? You can't send the kid to jail too, right? That's that's ludicrous.
That's what the Soviet Union did.
That's what the Soviet Union did. Yes, actually, that's true. Um, as far as I'm
Right.
aware.
Right. Punishing the son for the crimes of the father. That's
Yeah,
something
that's
I agree
basically what
with.
it is. And that's actually why I have such a hard time even entertaining the idea of reparations, right?
Yeah.
Um, but it still is, the fact of the matter is, what do they do with them? And I presume that the children are turned over to the government of the country that they originate from, and then they go from there. But if the family is just being deported, they reunite them and hold them in a deportation center together until they are actually deported.
Right.
Am I
Well,
wrong?
well, that's I see. I haven't heard. There's so much. There's so much just random shit that's being talked to where it's like yes, and people. Some people saying yes, and a bunch of people who are saying yes are also saying no. That's not happening. And so
Well,
it's
yeah,
there's
that's the thing is
just-
like I've seen so few actual documentation as to what's actually happening that doesn't have some left or right spin on it that I just can't make
Right.
heads or tails of the situation. Do I
Right.
think that parents and children should be separated from each other? No,
No.
I really don't. But do I think it's necessary to ensure that the children are actually with their parents? Yeah. I mean, there is such a thing as quote unquote necessary evil in the world. And this just happens to be one of them. Like we want to make sure that these kids are actually with their parents and that these kids are protected from people who may or may not be their parents. You know, it's
Right.
like it's I know it goes along the line of it's another branch of the think of the children fallacy. Is that a fallacy?
It
No,
kind of
it's
is. Well,
more like a
it's
meme
well,
at this
I mean,
point.
it's still it's a think of the children
it's
argument,
it's an
Yeah.
right?
emotional
It's
appeal.
it's an appeal to your
Motion.
emotion,
Motion.
right? But it's one of those appeals to your emotions that literally makes sense. On the one hand, you have parents bringing their kids and there's no way to actually confirm that they're their kids without actually investigating. You know, as soon as it's confirmed that the kid is actually that the parents are actually those are actually their kids, then yeah, give them back to them by all means. But still make sure because that one in a million case where that kid it's like I would rather 100 guilty men go free than one innocent man suffer
Right.
for a crime that he did not commit.
Right.
It's the
And
same, or women, whatever. But it still comes back to, I would rather go through and perform the necessary evil of separation than there be one kid that is kept with someone who is very obviously not their parent.
right.
Well, I guess I can't really say very obviously. It's more of a subtle thing because apparently we can't tell other races apart. Fucking racists. That was a joke.
Yeah.
It was a bad joke. I get it, but
I laughed. I just
you
I'm
didn't.
over here, like way over here, dealing with the fact that I'm still.
So, ladies and
drunk.
gentlemen, we might be dealing with a an Uncle Florpov. Tonight.
Uncle, huh?
Oh yeah, I mean you don't own the stream, so it's not
I'm
daddy.
not distant. I'm not distant cousin.
Uh, you and I are uncles. It's like you're
Okay.
the uptight one, and I'm the crazy stupid one.
I'm uptight.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
I figured that would get a reaction. All right, so as getting back to the article, demanding safe passage at all hours, regardless of where we are, what we're wearing, or our blood alcohol level. Oh, I'm reading the wrong one. I had to check there. Let's see, where is it? Blah blah. In recent days, blah blah blah. But reuniting the remainder has proved to be a much tougher task for justice and immigration officials who, for months, separated migrant families of the U.S.-Mexico, blame the funding border under the Trump administration's zero tolerance policy. I'm sorry, but it's not the Trump administration's zero tolerance policy. It's actually the Clinton
Yeah, but
administrations.
let's
Yeah.
just, it is the Trump administration because,
It is now.
you know.
Trump ended the practice with an executive order last month, but federal officials have struggled since then with how exactly to undo its results.
Yeah, but it's all Trump's fault.
Yeah, yeah. Fabian attributed the holdup to difficulties tracking down some parents. Who's Fabian?
Apparently, he's already cited in this article.
Where?
He is cited a
Sarah
little bit
Fabian,
earlier.
Justice Department attorney.
Yep.
Okay,
Second. Yeah.
just making sure.
No, Fabio.
Difficulty
the guy
tracking
with the
down
hair.
some parents and to necessary background checks on those whom they found. Several parents have already been deported. What the fuck? While the authorities disqualified others due to criminal records. All right. So that's kind of bullshit that the parents get deported without their kids.
Yeah. That's where this
It-
article confuses me because it keeps making these statements along the facts that there are parents who have gone back to Mexico, but the kids are still kept up here.
Citations needed.
Yeah,
I'm not even saying that
I haven't.
articulately.
But the thing is like I haven't heard one way. This is the first time that I've heard that that's what's going on. But at the same time, it seems like a lot of the people are relying on that argument or relying on that fact to support their argument. But it's the first time that I've heard that parents go back, but kids are still held up here.
Yeah, that's actually the first time I've heard this too. So, which is why I'm saying citations needed. And notice that there's no link to evidence in that paragraph.
Mm.
Like there's a link to the zero tolerance policy, there's a link to within the executive order. There's even in the next paragraph a link to John Bernay explaining, as NPR's John Bernay explained Friday, the Department of Health and Human Services says it has hired 250 additional personnel in the sprint to comply with the court order. So it even links that, but it doesn't actually link, several parents having to be ordered without their kids. They're working nights and weekends to comply with the judge's orders, but they say they have to do cheek swabs of the children and the parents to do DNA tests to establish parentage. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That makes
That's what
sense,
they've been
but
doing. That's what they've been doing all along, except they didn't have the extra 250 additional personnel to do it with because money. They have to conduct criminal background checks of the parents. They have to determine the fitness of the parents to be able to release the kids to them because, that's what we do to Americans. So why shouldn't we do it to, foreigners?
people who aren't citizens of the country.
And
See,
so the government says the tension
okay,
is
hold on.
between
I do want to
and
pause
safe.
this.
Go ahead.
Hold on, I do want to pause this, and I want to bring up something, and I'm probably going to sound extremely leftist politically. But here's the problem that I find with a lot of the conversation that comes in. Now, I'm all for one that disagrees. Offenses given, that's a stupid argument. Offense is always taken. But at the same time, when you deal with like heavy political things, and when you're talking about stuff like what this article is talking about, is it's not trying to, but this article should be trying to present the situation as, and when you're trying to do that, you use specific words, such as fuck.
I'm just going to say that this train of thought has come to an abrupt halt due to a pig being on the tracks.
but the thing is when we get to these type of things, people like to use words that heavily lean one way or the other, that defend one side, and it doesn't help. And I don't say that for like us. For like us, we're sitting here, we're shooting shit, we're talking about bullshit, we're just having fun, we're making laughs, we're making jokes. But when you're a news publication and you're trying to just present the situation, using certain terms that are set up to create an emotion
Oh
or
God.
what?
Uh, hang on. I know this is kind of derailing you. I
Okay,
apologize.
derail
But
me all you want.
did you just say I could rail you all you want, all I want?
100%.
Gay. There you go. Right in the feels.
Let's bring this up here.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of relevant to something that we were talking about earlier.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oof. Oof.
Yeah. Anyways, as you were saying, if you could remember, you can recall your train of thought.
I cannot, and I will allow you to continue.
All right, cool. I am getting back to the article. Uh, where the fuck was I in the article? Uh, there I am. Despite these efforts, there's a chance the government's list of young children awaiting reunion may actually grow before authorities can reduce it further. Because will keep illegally immigrating into the country. Attorneys for the American Civil Liberties Union, which brought the lawsuit, said activists have turned up as many as 10 more names that need to added. I think there's a word
Fucking
or two or five missing there. Need to added to the number of separated kids still in detention.
Hey, NPR, fire
This
your editor.
discrepancy in numbers is one of several disagreements both sides of the suit, the Justice Department and the ACLU, pledged to discuss later Monday. In the courtroom, they expressed openness to collaborating on several issues, including searching for parents who have been removed from the U.S. and double-checking the criminal records. All right. Among the other remaining question marks is whether authorities can streamline their vetting process for the migrant parents, uh, illegal migrant parents, which ACLU attorneys have described as needlessly cumbersome, and whether the government can pass along the locations migrant families will be released from custody so that charity groups can more quickly offer them support. Now, I'm actually not in disagreement with the idea that the immigration bureaucracy needs an overhaul. You know, it's incredibly difficult to become a migrant, a legal migrant to this country.
Mm.
Unnecessarily difficult. I understand that there's a need for vetting and there's a need for background checks and everything, but come on. It should not be as hard as it is. It's like, do we want people who have something to offer to the country? Yeah, sure. But come on. It's kind of ridiculous how bogged down it's become. Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Among, already read that. As daunting as the process appeared in court, this week's deadline concerns less than 5% of the children separated from their parents in recent months. Okay. Under Sabra's order last month. Hey, look, there's another freaking link to citation. The rest of the minors will need to be returned to their families by July 26th. In the meantime, many of these children have had to face their immigration proceedings without their parents in court. Okay. NPR associate pointed out one incident which a 1-year-old boy was brought before a judge.
There's really no
Oh,
reason for that.
so I mean, on the one hand, this article is definitely full of left-leaning bias.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, 100%. And it seems to structure things in a way that almost changes the argument
But on the
from
other hand, it does bring up some interesting questions about what's actually going on.
Oh yeah, yep, yeah, and that's the reason why this article was confusing to me. Because if it's saying without, even with, like, if they had citations that kids are not being then sent back to their parents after they've been sent back to Mexico, or after they've been allowed in,
So,
or blah blah
yeah,
blah blah, that would
and
be a problem.
I think that what they could have done that without actually injecting the left side bias into it. It could have brought up the topic without injecting the not the left bias, and it still would have brought up the questions that it's bringing up and brought such things to light with that it's bringing up. But and that's the biggest thing that's the problem I have with the media right now. It brings so much biased opinion to everything, and it doesn't just present the facts and raise the questions that need to be raised. It doesn't give it's like, and the media has always been that way, right? It's always There's always been spin added to news articles and everything like that ever since the beginning.
Right,
And it's very
right,
rare that you actually come upon a news article that only gives you the facts and asks the questions unasked. And this article does do that. But the first, oh, let me count it. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9. Shit, I can't even count how many. The first like 3/4 of the fucking article was all politically biased spin.
Yeah.
right.
Is presenting the situation with a politically biased spin, and then it's asking the questions that the centrist once asked.
Right, and you end up with a lot of this, and this is the reason why it just annoys me in a lot of ways of how people handle things. Is because you have these people, you have this setup to where, here, let me give you, all these different things that are incredibly biased, that are incredibly just worded in a way that invokes a certain type of opinion, and then let me ask these questions. So then, if you disagree with the first part of it, you're also agreeing with the second part of it,
Mm-hmm.
where the questions come in, and
Because I,
and
I,
it
I do
creates it.
I
It
do
almost,
agree with the questions, but I disagree with a lot of what was said in the article itself.
right, and
Yeah.
you're left to where a lot it contributes to this polarization that you see. If you disagree with this article at all, you disagree with everything said inside. And it's annoying as shit. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. I think it doesn't help towards discourse. I think it doesn't help towards getting things done. I think it just makes things worse.
Mm-hmm. It does. All right, I think it is a good time to move to the next article. How many more do we have?
Well, we have a lot of. We have. Um.
I think we should move to something a little bit more lighthearted.
Oh, well, if you want lighthearted, then how do you eat out a non-trans woman?
I don't.
So here's the thing. a little while ago, and I've seen a lot of buzz about this article that came out.
Can you hold that thought for like 2 minutes? I'll be right back, I swear to
Oh. Well, I'm gonna be honest. I actually might have drinking too much, so I'm just going to keep talking, even though you're.
ass. I'll be back.
But here's the thing. So when it comes to a lot of this kind of shit, and I've mentioned slightly this a little bit earlier, is I live in Seattle, and Seattle is heavily left, like ridiculously long left,
Okay.
beyond.
Okay.
And
I'm
we'll
alive.
come back.
What did I miss?
You didn't miss much, actually. Pig is gone, and I'm talking about our wonderful state.
Oh, there's trees and mountains. We have those. They don't.
We have tree. We have a lot of trees, and I love how green Washington is.
Just stay away from the city.
Hey, I like the city.
Every time I go to downtown Seattle, I run out of rope to sell.
You know what? To be completely honest with you, I after our last trip to Seattle,
Hey, that was fun.
that was great until I realized I won't be able to pay rent this month.
Oh shit.
I should have drove over there. So to get an understanding is, a few weeks ago, me and Buck decided to go see a presentation, a talk, a little bit
Alright,
of
I'm back.
convention of Jordan Peterson. And I live just slightly across the water from Seattle. And so I decided it would be a great idea to drive over there, which costs a lot more money than if I would have just walked onto the ferry and all that stuff. And Jesus Christ, how much did we drink, Buck?
We hit up the one bar before the show,
Yeah,
and then 2 after the show.
right.
You know, this is why I wish we were all on the same coast.
Right.
Because then we could actually maybe hang out with each other every once
Hey,
and
me and
drink
Buck got
beers
to hang out.
together.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't
Yeah, you
exactly
guys
drink.
suck.
Well, okay, actually, that's not true. No, it's not entirely true. Buck drink beer. I drink hard alcohol, but that's just me.
Mistakes were made.
Hey, I did. Those
Yeah.
weren't shots the dude poured us at the bar at Pike Place Market. That was like a full fucking tumbler of vodka.
That was
like three or 4 shots.
Yeah, but he gave it to us for free.
That
So
was
hey,
that was the
know.
whiskey. The whiskey was free.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah,
vodka.
that's true.
Nice.
The vodka we paid for.
So-
Straight vodka.
I feel that Buck's tonsils are actually recovered enough in order to read this article.
Yeah, thanks, Motrin. Which one is it? I was.
Well,
is the-
it is how to eat out a non-op trans
God.
woman.
You saved the good one for me. Jesus Christ.
Well, of course, it's water for you, Buck.
Oh boy. Sorry. Everybody is different, which means pleasure is always complex. And that's the case even for acts as common as oral sex. This is, of course, it's fucking Vice.
No, this is broadly.
Yeah, which is a subset of Vice.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, shit.
You can see it in
See it in the corner.
in the
You
freaking
can't
URL.
see it on the
buddy.
stream, but you can see it in the So,
Wow. Okay. All right. Keep going.
for this installment of How to Sex, I don't want to read that phrase ever again. I interviewed non-op, pre-op trans women.
I just opened up a new tab.
Oh God. That is trans women.
The
who
Queer
have-
Woman's Guide to Strap-On Blowjobs.
Okay.
Curious. Why
Well,
some
the
people
book
get
continue.
turned on by being tickled.
Oh
in-person
God!
figging. What the fuck is figging?
All right. Hold on.
The kink where you put ginger in your butt. Holy crap!
Jesus
We are
Christ!
saving this
There-
one.
Okay, all right. Hold on.
A guide to
To
sounding.
comment on
Holy shit!
that, there are women who enjoy the physical play and then eventually end up towards other
Pop.
kind of play.
Pop.
So
Pav, there's a guide to sounding.
sounding?
It's
Can you explain that term?
the kink where you stick a rod up your urethra.
Why is that called sounding? What?
Because when you stick the rod up there, you tap it, and the vibrations, and it's similar to sounding out a hole.
Let's just keep going with the article, please.
Everything you ever
Hold on.
wanted to know about scissoring.
Hold on, before
Oh god, this is a gold mine. A guy
I'm already looking at the first section, and all I can say is, okay, fuck
This
you too,
is-
magazine.
This is gold. A guide to muffing
Staying in.
to finger trans women. This is we're
Hey, you know what? What is in a name? Tongue techniques.
Oh, the hammer's down.
I can't even read that. Parting tips. Those are the sections within this article. I'm just gonna put this out there. This article, if I was
Boy.
I would be probably a little bit more interested in these kinds of things. But
I
I feel
am
like a lot of
interested
what this-
purely. I am interested
lot of-
purely from the amusement factor.
But here's the thing: a lot of this article is.
I didn't know figging was a thing. I didn't know figging was a thing. It's like a butt plug, but it burns.
Oh,
What the fuck?
Figging, it's where you stick ginger in your butt.
Why?
I don't know.
Literally, why?
This still makes me laugh because I am immature. Back to
Why
the
don't you stick your
actual
dick in a jalapeno? Fucking A.
because then it's a waste of a jalapeno. But
I have
alright,
to tweet
so
this
It's a
one.
fucking
I
waste
have
of
to tweet
ginger
this
too.
one.
well, okay, so ginger isn't as it's not as good.
You can't
But-
reuse the ginger after that.
Wait, are they
Jesus
using
Christ.
like molded ginger? Or are they using just the root with all the little sprots off of the side?
What fresh hell have we walked into?
We walked into next episode's every single article.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Where the fuck was I? I interviewed non-up, pre-op trans women, that is, trans women who have not had bottom surgery and may never get it, about how they like to be orally pleasured. For extra context, I don't need that. I also spoke to
Yes, you
and
do.
gathered tips from, I bet you did, from some professional trans sex experts. And I let them do the talking because, as trans writer Kennedy Nadler has put it, it's rare for a public conversation about what trans women do in bed. Stop.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. So this is
To have a
basically
wait. To have
No,
a
hold on,
vocabulary.
It's rare
No,
for a
the-
public conversation about what trans women do in bed to have a
vocabulary and
vocabulary.
grammar that we
I feel like
decide
this is not
upon.
an actual sentence.
I'm
I
going
feel
to
like
kill
this
myself.
actually started out as like three
I'm
or
going-
four
I'm-
sentences.
Right, but here's the thing. This article is all it's talking about is how to pleasure a dude in the context that the dude is now a woman.
Where's my gun?
I just it's like you could have just wrote this entire article of how to eat out a dude. And then and then changed certain things to say women, trans women instead.
Whammon.
That's all it is. Women.
But just, Jesus. Still don't treat the following as gospel, then why you write one. But merely as suggestions and inspiration. Remember, too, that being aware and receptive and communicative with your partner is more important than any sex guide you'll read on the internet.
What's
Alright.
in the name?
I
Trans
just read
women
that.
get their genitals in a myriad of ways. Some
Myriad.
say clit. Yes. Some say clit, vagina, velour. And some say dick,
Voila.
girl dick,
Jesus
or
Christ.
cock.
Did you just skip
Some
over
say-
a letter?
Yes. Some say junk. Some say genitals. Some say lady parts. And one hilarious woman described their nether bits as to me as Brenda.
Seriously.
For illustration reasons, I've used the analytical terms of
Analytical
glands.
terms.
Yes.
Pretty sure that
Jesus.
says
Gillands.
anatomical.
Thank you. Terms like glands and penis. At times of this piece, but have otherwise let the women interviewed
My God.
describe their body parts however they prefer.
Names
of
for oral sex also run the gamut, and include cunnilingus,
cunnilingus,
going down on, getting eat out, face fucking,
and some women have enjoy.
Even
Some
in-
women even enjoy the term blowjob. It depends on the recipient and how they feel about the act and their genitals. Going down and getting out are great terms, says Maddie Lids Barnes, a photographer and trans woman living in Oakland. Oakland what?
California. Where do you
Yep.
think?
yeah, but never mind. That's a joke referring to fucking.
Though I'm
cinemas.
typically not the one to offer them, I definitely dislike any terms that have historically been used to denote oral sex with a cis male. I'm sorry, it's not oral sex with a cis male, it's sex with
It's
a penis.
with a penis. Yeah, I
Jesus
mentioned this to
Christ.
my roommate a little bit earlier. It's like when it comes to sex, your specific like things have to do with the organs, not whether or not the person is cis or not. Mara, a trans woman in Chicago, whose last name has been omitted for privacy, of course. Why would you even have to put that in there? Says her descriptions for the act depend on the situation. I'm pretty flexible in what I use. Sometimes I like it rougher, and I will say things like, I want you to suck my dick right now. Oh, I added right.
You inserted a word there.
Yeah, I did. That's none of my business. And Kermit meme. The other times, are very sweet. And I'm all, I want you to go down and eat me out until you can't breathe.
Breathe
It's-
is
it's-
misspelled, motherfucker. Fire your editor.
Give oral givers if you're
Sure
not
that's not
sure
spelled
what
right?
to, wait, why would it matter what you call
That's-
it?
I want to go
Hold
down
on.
you and eat you out
Hold on.
until I can't breath. Breathe is an E.
Good
There's
point.
An e at
Good
the
point.
End.
Good point.
Just fucking
Okay, so
Shut
oral
up,
givers.
English major.
If you're not sure what to call it, why would it matter what you call it? Or you're unsure if your partner even wants to receive oral at all, just ask.
A wild
Why
panda
do
has
we
appeared.
call it? All right, hold on. Multiple girls that I've had conversations with, the what they enjoy comes out in normal conversation. It doesn't even have to even be in the context of we're about to have sex. It normally just comes out. And why would this be something that needs to be like referred to? Okay, so tongue techniques. This is where the real meat of the article is. The moves associated with oral sex for trans women are similar to other kinds of cunnilingus, using one's tongue to lick or gently nibble on the or gently nibble on the genitals, and or using the pleasure of one's nose to stimulate an air. Okay. All right. So let me put this out there. Please don't bite my penis.
So I'm just going to go ahead and let y'all know that while you were talking, yes, please don't buy the penis. It's a bad thing. I have been showing the how to sex subsection of Broadly, that whole thing, to Panda, and her reaction is very similar to mine, except it's not as tickled.
All right, walk me through it.
Yeah. So basically, she's just like, "What? How is no? But that's no." Except she's not laughing like I was when we were talking about it earlier.
It's a lot of this. What it seems to be is along the lines of just like a person who's wanting to be extremely politically correct, trying to explain to you the terms that you should use during sex, which again is something that if you don't have like conversations with, if you don't put into dirt, if it's not something that you already understand,
If you put it's the connotations that you add to it. I mean, oral sex is oral sex is oral sex is oral sex. All right, it's fellatio when you're doing it with a penis, and it's cunnilingus when you're doing it with a vagina. That's it.
Let's roll this back. She says, hold on. Where does she say it? One of the chicks. She says, I'm pretty flexible on what I use, and that's typically normally how you be in sex. Sometimes I like it rougher and say, I want you to suck my dick now. This is something that is already established within like the foreplay of going into sex. So why it needs to be brought up
Not
is
everybody actually does it. It's like, is it there? Yeah, sure, but there's not everybody does it every single time.
and also it's just, I don't know. It feels really heavy-handed with this. Hey, you
Tongue
should know
techniques.
these. Well, you should know these things, and I'm like, yeah.
Accoutrements and alternate points of entry.
What?
Accoutrements. Accoutrements.
The
Accoutrements?
problem that I see,
Accoutrements.
like here's the thing. Here's the thing. The first time I saw this article, the first time I read this article was Jeff.
Parting tips. Parting tips. I'm not sure if that is something that's particular with the article. That's actually a move that they're trying to convey, because I'm not going to read it.
You should also give a little bit of suck on the tip as your parting ways. But
Alright.
but the first time I saw this article, it was Jeff had retweeted it, and he's like, people freaking out about this obviously don't hate.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, and so like I read it in the context of what Jeff was trying to convey it as, and I'm looking at this, I'm like, here's the thing, and this is where I slightly disagree with Jeff, is that yeah, I understand what you're saying is like, oh yeah, you know, if you just don't like to have fun if you hate this article, but at the same time, like when you read this, you're looking at, like from my perspective, I'm looking at this like this person is just really trying to put a lot of things on there when sex is normally so organic that it doesn't, all these things don't even fucking matter. Like, oh, like yeah, if you're having sex with a trans woman with a penis and they said suck my dick, obviously, unless you got tricked into this, this is something that is already established
And you're already okay with.
Yeah. And so it's not like this even needs to be brought up in an article. It's like this goes back to the argument is like
yeah, but I think you're reading a little bit too much into it. And it's more of the way she was referring to it. It's like
Maybe.
she was blatantly out there, I want my cock in your mouth now, rather than
Maybe.
the, please go down on me.
Yeah, but I don't know. If you're having sex
She
with
was
this
literally,
person,
I want my to rub my balls all over your face as I sit my taint into your mouth.
Good
At
thing
least
we're
that's
not.
what I got from it. What did you guys get from
Good thing we're not
I got.
monetized.
it?
I, I got from it this person believes that people are messing up in a lot of ways when having sex
Well,
with a
at
non
least
trans.
at least the author does, but the person that you're taking
That's what I mean.
it's
That's
it's
what I mean.
literally it's
I'm referring to the author,
you have
not the.
sometimes you have to ask for what you want, or else it's not going to happen.
Or yeah.
And is standing there nodding her head with a big smile on her face, like, yes, yes, this is true. This is true. Anyways, you guys, it is 12:23 in the AM for me.
Yeah, it is. We have gone on for a while.
We have gone on for about 2 hours now.
Yep.
Um, so I'm going to go ahead and close it out for the night. Ladies and gentlemen, possibly, thank you for joining us on this week's Locked and Loaded. Pastas can't do math. I said math, but I meant chess.
We're
I
having
can't
fun.
words right now.
Having too much
We
fun.
have been your hosts for this night's episode, Mr. Hiccups, Capitalist Rope Bender. We'll eventually find a better nickname for him soon, and myself, Shady Pig. We hope you all will join us again next time in 2 weeks' time on the same channel at the same time, maybe
Hopefully.
30 minutes earlier. And we bid you all adieu. Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night, everybody.